Stanley. And look at that. Sticks. Yeah, that's how I started. I was a stick. Still am. And today we're looking at Nickelodeon celebrities before they were stars. So stick around. I hope the second little piggy isn't in there.
Kick it.
Welcome to Splat Attack, a podcast honoring the slime-filled past. I'm your guy that just got done using training wheels 2 weeks ago, Manny.
And I'm Alex, and I just stopped sleeping in the crib a week ago, so I beat you. So, hey, Manny.
Yes!
Aside from all this juvenile discussion, what are we talking about today?
You know those stars on Nickelodeon? They all had to start somewhere. You know, they all born at a very early age and all, so they have to start from somewhere. So we're going to be talking about some Nickelodeon celebrities that were who they were before they were stars.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all had to start from somewhere, and I do have some picks that that's been stressing me out, and I'm happy to finally be talking about it now.
Excellent. But I see someone in the waiting room. Who's here?
So let's bring in our special guest for the episode. This is Austin Shane. Did I say it right?
You did.
I got
Hello.
a name right. Austin told me how to say it before we started. Thank you, Austin. Austin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Thanks
One
for
of
coming.
my wheelhouses of knowledge and memories. So glad to be a part of this.
This is
Excellent.
I'm
well,
excited
we're really
about this.
happy that you're here, man. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, Austin had reached out to us quite some time ago, and we've been trying on numerous occasions to try to link up and see about working together. And this discussion, this topic was actually suggested by Austin. So I thought if we were going to do one of his suggestions, we needed to have him on the show. So this is very much a before they were stars episode. We're going to be looking at Nickelodeon, obviously, 90s, even before then, for some of my picks. And we're going to be looking at celebrities that we now know to be celebrities, but they weren't in celebrity status at one point. They had to get their start. So we're going to be looking at several people who got their start working through Nickelodeon at some point. So it's just a very simple, laid-back discussion. I'm going to shut up now, and I'm actually going to hand the mic over to Austin to get us started. Austin, who is somebody that you thought of for before they were stars?
Well, so when I was looking through this, there were kind of two lanes of thought that I had. There were one celebrities that were like regulars on shows before they were famous, and then people who just kind of had an early guest appearance before they were famous that we found out about. I'm gonna go, since I have the Bar None Ranch shirt on. I am going to pick Laura Innes, a.k.a. Dr. Carrie Weaver from ER. So she did 2 different episodes of Hey Dude, and she's also married in real life to Dave Brisbane, who played Mr. Ernst. So I'm assuming there was some sort of connection there, and that's how she got on. And then I think later on he did some episodes of ER, kind of returned the favor there. So the 2 episodes that I found, there was one in season 2 of Hey Dude where Laura Innes played Ted's high school, I think it was English teacher or math teacher, but she had won some sort of weird raffle where the grand prize was a vacation to a dude ranch across the country, which I guess is the thing.
Just as much of a thing as having a charity event or a publicity stunt by getting in the ring with Captain Lou Albino.
So she shows up at the ranch unexpected. She calls Ted Theodore the whole time. He's embarrassed about it. He doesn't want to be seen anywhere near her. And of course, naturally, she falls for Mr. Ernst. She thinks she's he's cute. He thinks she is too. And then that kind of gets Buddy all stressed out because he thinks, his parents just got divorced, and he's thinking she's going to be, the new mom. So of course he and Ted kind of sabotage things. There's stuff with the Mr. Ernst's boots and mud. It kind of backfires. In the end, it just kind of, they get caught as usual. Ted is Ted. He isn't terribly smooth with things, and it all works out in the end. Everybody's happy. Mr. Ernst tells Buddy that his mom will never be replaced. That he's just making a new friend, and happy ending there. And then the other episode she was on, it was in season 5, and the camp staff finds this baby in one of the rooms, and it turns out that Lauren has played the mom, and she just kind of forgot about the child, and they spend the whole episode trying to keep up with the child and keep it okay until the mom comes back and hijinks ensue.
Well, keeping in line with Hey Dude, for that matter, Christine Taylor, who was one of the regulars, and she has gone on to have a fantastic career. Probably, I want to say every single time I see Christine Taylor mentioned on social media, somebody always says, "It's Ben Stiller's wife." I'm like, she was recognized for far more than just being Ben Stiller's wife. But she's done a lot of stuff. I mean, including Dodgeball with Ben Stiller.
Love that movie.
But she was also...
Was she Marcia in the
Yes.
movie?
Oh, yeah.
I was
another
just about
great
to
movie.
say that. She was on Brady Bunch, the movie. But as far as Nickelodeon goes, she was known for playing Melody on Hey Dude. She was always very optimistic and very sweet, sometimes nauseatingly so. And since then, there's not really been any new episodes recently, but she and David Lasher have started a podcast together, Hey Dude, the 90s called. And she apparently, for those of you who don't know, she's a big Boney fan.
Yes, that's right. Now get out of here.
Manny, what happened with that?
It was really cool. She flipped out. Well, first of all, let me set the scene here. Okay, this is back in LA when we went to the formerly named SplatCon, and that got canceled. So all the Nickelodeon celebs decided to do a meetup over at a local bar in the LA area. And it was really cool because we got to meet them and chat with them. So I wanted to sort of cosplay a little bit as Marc Weiner. So I had the Weinerville jersey, and I actually had a Boney puppet I have made myself. And just pretty much just acting like Boney throughout the whole scene and everything, yelling at people, taking pictures of people. Nicely, I wasn't yelling anything mean or anything. But Christine was like, "Oh my God, Boney!" And I was like, first of all, I was like, "What? You know Boney, first of all?" So that was exciting. So I took a picture with her and everything, and she was like all up in that. But she said, "I'll take a picture with you if I could get Boney. If I could get a picture with Boney." So that was really cool and very, very surprising as well. And I think we kind of have to thank Ben Stiller in a way for Hey Dude to get sort of a resurgence, because according to Slimed, the Klickstein book, Ben Stiller had some connections in Paramount at the time, and he wanted to surprise his wife with Hey Dude. So he talked to people at Paramount, and he actually had a DVD made of Hey Dude to give to her for Christmas. So who knows? Maybe that got passed around and things, and boom, popularity.
I've got them all sitting on my shelf in the other room.
Thank you, Ben Stiller. So yeah, I thought that was really exciting. It was cool.
Manny, who's one of your picks?
I'm gonna pick Dee Bradley Baker, and he, of course, was Olmec on Legends of the Hidden Temple, but that was like his first job. Not a lot of people knew who he was, and he started work sort of starting performing at the age of 9, believe it or not, where he did a lot of operas, plays, and musicals, and doing a little bit of stand-up comedy at the time. And he even studied in Germany, learning philosophy and fine arts. It was that time that he was discovered that he has a knack for acting. And so that sort of brought him into the bridge of performing and him loving to perform. He even met his wife in 1989 and moved to Orlando for an Epcot job where he worked at the Epcot's Wonders of Life. And that was a moment when he was uh, walked up to Nickelodeon to do Olmec. And in his private life, he enjoys taking pictures of flowers and tiny insects. And he loves being a dad. Like, I didn't know that he has children of his own, but he absolutely loves his daughters and he calls them a huge, huge blessing. And it's really, really cool. Not to mention, Kirk Fogg, who you all know is the host of Legends.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? Surprisingly. Who knew? But apparently, according to Kirk, he sort of helped Dee Baker sort of go into more acting and voiceover roles because when they met each other on Legends of the Hidden Temple, he was like, "You have got to get out of Orlando, Dee. You got to move to LA. You know, you would work all the time." So him and Kirk actually lived together for a little while, and that's sort of what got him roles to do more voice acting. So
Did Kirk get him the shop till you drop announcing job?
I think he did. I think he did.
Yeah, and Dee Bradley Baker known for doing a lot of voice acting. I mean, that's his thing, voice acting, and he's done a lot of Star Wars and creatures and things like that. Even Eagly from Peacemaker. But going back to Nickelodeon, he was also the main villain for The Journey of Alan Strange, where he didn't do voice acting, he did acting, and very over-the-top goofy acting at that. But
I mean, first episode, he was just like tripping all over himself. Yeah, exactly. Like he was doing that.
Ridiculous. Austin, who else you got?
I will go in the cast member lane here. I'm gonna take the last cast member to join the original All of That cast, Gabriel Iglesias. I think few people know that he was in that cast. So
I didn't know that.
He joined in season 6, which was the last season of the original run. The way he was introduced was one of the cold opens. They had gotten like All That cereal boxes made, and like there were prizes in the box. And one of the prizes, they pulled him out of one of the cereal boxes, and that was his introduction to the cast.
It's so fluffy.
Yeah. I saw that. So he did a pretty decent Bill Clinton impersonation a few times. He played Ricky Martin's brother.
I want to say it was Mr. Nice Guy because they did
one of the Jimmy Bond. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, obviously went on to become one of the more famous stand-up comedians. We love Fluffy. Great stand-up. Very funny guy. And yep, he was got in. That kind of half season they did before the run ended, and he was in the cast. So fun to kind of relive that.
He wasn't in it very, very much. I mean, granted, it was a fairly short season, but even then he wasn't in it very much. And he did an interview on a podcast. I forget which one it was. Obviously, it wasn't ours. But it's been a few years ago. And he was saying that his last day of work, he had an injury.
So we're running out there onto the set. The set had a bunch of beams going across it. And because I'm wearing a wig that has bangs, I couldn't see the beam that was going across. Gosh. And so I'm running top speed, and I knocked myself out on the set of All That.
Oh, no.
I hit the floor.
In the cheerleading outfit.
I wake up, and there's a fireman standing over me.
Oh.
And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, he goes, "How many fingers am I holding up?" And I'm like, 4. He goes, do you know where you're at? I'm like, Nickelodeon. He goes, do you know why you're dressed like a cheerleader? I yelled out, paycheck.
Yeah. And he had to sign something from Nickelodeon that, you know, that they're not going to be responsible or liable for his accident. And then soon after that, they didn't renew his contract. They didn't bring him back on because of, according to him and some of the others, all that cast members who have done reaction videos to that interview. Nickelodeon's just covering their
behinds.
But at the same time, dude, there was the show was wrapping up. I can't imagine they would do too much anyway. I am going to mention another main cast member because this cast member has been in a few Nickelodeon shows, at least 2. But this person was in Are You Afraid of the Dark? 2 episodes, I believe, of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and also one of the main cast members of Space Cases. I am absolutely thinking of Kat for this actress, but Jewel Staite, who has gone on to be like a mainstay for sci-fi movies and TV shows. Most memorable, I think, is Firefly. There's a huge following for Firefly now, which is fantastic. And she also wanted to do Ready or Not, I think is what it was. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't keep up with her stuff outside of Nickelodeon, but she was in a couple of episodes. The Watchers Woods episode, and I forgot the other one off the top of my head, but she was Catalina on Space Cases. Everyone who recalls Space Cases, the first thing they recall is the girl with the rainbow hair, and that was Catalina. That was Jewel Staite. She even did several commercials back in the 90s. I think Dream Girl was one of them. I think that was the name of or something like that. It was some ridiculous board game. Do this thing or else you have to put a fake wart on your face, a fake pimple on your face. It was truth or dare, essentially. But yeah, Jewel Staite. There's one of mine. So, Manny, who else you got?
I have Toby Huss, who has a really interesting life story. He actually explained it on a podcast recently, and it's I'm just gonna paraphrase it a little bit, but he of course was Artie on Pete and Pete. He went to the University of Iowa for 3 semesters and realized that was not for him, so he dropped out. And not really having a direction in life, he just pretty much wanted to do theater, and he auditioned in plays in New York. And of course, doing a little bit of stand-up on the side. So during that time, he wasn't having much luck reaching a job or any type of acting job. So he worked as a maintenance man at a Catholic church for a little while he was doing a little bit more of auditions. After a few odd jobs, his mom actually sent him a pair of long johns. And this is kind of where our story goes, where he was doing a little bit of stand-up because he was laughing about how long the crotch was on the pants. So he's like, this is ridiculous. So, and he acted like a strong man, and he thought that was very funny. And he was also living in a house while he was working at the Catholic church, you know, with a few other comedians and everything. And they're like, you know what, maybe you should give it a shot. Like, try to do this for stand-up. So he did that, and wouldn't you know, one of those days, there was 2 people that saw him. I'm assuming it was Chris Riccardi and, what's the other name?
Will McCrabb.
Yeah, thank you guys. Will McCrabb. It was that guy, yeah. And they approached him to be like this superhero character for this new show called Pete and Pete. And that was pretty much his first acting job. Since then, he's done a few voices on Beavis and Butthead, and he is well known for doing Khan on King of the Hill. And pretty much him and Mike Judge sort of got to know each other a little bit because Toby worked at MTV for a little while as well, doing like music parodies and stuff. And so Mike Judge and him were both kind of rednecks, and they were having a nice back and forth together. And that's sort of how their relationship bloomed. And he also has a really unique knack for photography as well, but he has a really unique style where it's like if he takes a picture of something that he finds neat, like let's say, for example, if a car is parked horizontally, he takes a picture of that, or if he sees like a dent in a house or something, with the way the sunlight hits it, it's very nice and natural looking. So he takes a picture of that as well. He is currently working on a photo album, which he hopes that releases this fall. So keep an eye out for Toby Huss's photograph book. But I think his contributions to Nickelodeon were great because much like the last Splat Attack episode, was Artie being the most memorable character and being Wellsville, being like a whole accompaniment of Wellsville as himself. And I believe that that's a huge impact that Toby Huss brought to that character.
I feel like we need the obligatory pipe.
Wait! Where he has like the whistle around his neck. Sweet!
Our brings up there, my little Viking. Sweet.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Austin, who else you got?
So I'm gonna go on a game show route here. Mainly because I found this out when I used to run an intramural team trivia league when I was getting my master's, and I did a whole round about celebrities that were on game shows as contestants before they were famous. And on Guts, AJ McLean from Backstreet Boys was a contestant on Guts. His nickname was AJ Mean McLean. I've kind of always wondered how they came up with everybody's nicknames. Like, did the contestants come in with them already?
I can answer that.
Come up with them. Nice.
I can answer that because we've got to talk to a few Guts contestants, and no, the kids did not pick them. They just gave them to them because it sounded good with their names.
Yeah.
It's a Backstreet Boys song. He sings mean. So there you go. Mean. I wish you were so mean. So yeah, it's not very popular, but still, I heard it. So,
yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so he was the blue contestant. Very, very fired up to be there. Mike O'Malley interviewed him after the first event, which he won. It was the slam dunk elastic event, and he was very fired up to be there. He's very excited. And then they did basic training, and he got caught in the elastic jungle, and it did not go well. I've always kind of thought the elastic jungle was the shrine of the silver monkey of
it was.
It's nobody could figure out how to do that event. And then they had one of the whitewater events, and struggled to get around the buoys. And then he was in second place going into the Craig and finished second in the Craig, and so he finished second on the day. And obviously the rest is history. Went on to the Backstreet Boys, and still just as relevant today as they were in the 90s. So
I am going to go with a couple of the obvious ones because you guys have seen the thumbnail. I picked 4 people and threw them on the thumbnail. One of them, actually, I should say the pair is.
I don't see it.
Well, because you need a microscope.
You got to zoom in.
I did really fine art there. Do you see Kenan Kel in there?
Oh my God! Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah, I thought they would.
Why?
It's a little speck right there.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched Nickelodeon back in the 90s knew Kenan and Kel, even before they had their own show. Kenan and Kel really sent all that into another stratosphere. And obviously, Good Burger, the movie, but the two of them have gone on to do some really great things. Kel, it kind of dropped off the map for a while, and there was a division between the two, and Kel had a very, very bad personal run. But here lately, the past 10 years or so, he's really shown out a lot. He's now a pastor. He's done a lot of producing for shows on Nickelodeon, Game Shakers being one of them. He and Kenan did Good Burger too. He's also been, both of them were on Double Dare. And Kel has been featured on like Dancing with the Stars. I mean, he's done a lot, and he's got his life on a very, very good track. Kenan has been on SNL, and that's where he has stayed. He is now the longest running cast member on SNL, had his own TV show. I think it was NBC for a little while. It
the
was
Kenan show, yeah.
Mhm. And it was only one season, but still, I mean, how many times does that happen? It happens all the time. Show gets picked up for one season, but still, he was popular and successful enough to get his own TV show, no matter how short it was. He's got his own book. The two have really been uber successful post Nickelodeon, but all that is where they got their start. This is pretty awesome.
I mean, it's also cool that they reconciled too. So there was, because I was one of those people in 2010, 2011. I'm like, why are they fighting and all this other stuff? So I'm really happy that they finally reconciled and got to do a sequel together. So it's cool, even though if it was just, but it was still really cool seeing them both together again.
Manny, who else you got?
I have got a strange one. I have Arjay Smith, and he played Alan Strange. And this is also from another podcast he did as well. He seems like a really, really cool, down to earth guy.
He's an alien.
Yeah, because he's an alien. He dreamed of acting for such a long time too. In fact, when he was 9, he got his first acting job with Shaq, of all people, doing a all sports commercial. And during his time on Nickelodeon, he got to learn the business, and he definitely credits the Lord and his family for his success, because he is still acting to this day. But one of the cool things about it is, and he gets a lot of questions about this, he always is asked, like, why aren't you like one of the child stars that went off the rails? Well, one of the most interesting things is that when he was on Alan Strange, whenever shooting was over and he got to go home, his parents treated him no different. He still had to do chores, wash the dishes, take the trash out and everything. And he sort of credits his parents for keeping him grounded and sort of making sure that he could still take care of himself instead of having things catered to him. Because when he was in Nickelodeon doing the show, of course, everything was catered to him. But once he gets home, he has no one to do that for him. So he does that himself. And he credits a lot of that as well. And as of right now, he is doing a TV show called The Rookie, which is a drama on ABC. And he absolutely loves acting, and he would trade nothing in the world for it. The way that he speaks, it's really kind of cool, because he just sort of says, like, if there's anything that you want in life, just go after it. And even if it's tough, it's a testament to go for it, because what's the first word? Test. So as long as you can like pull through it and believe in yourself, you can achieve anything.
Austin, back to you.
Well, so I did one boy band. I need to give equal time to the other one. So I am going to pick one-time Nick Arcade contestant Joey Fatone.
I almost said Joey Fatone, but I was like, I think Austin's going to mention that, so I'll leave that one alone.
Yep. So Joey Fatone, Orlando resident, as I found out at the Mickey Mouse Club reunion a few years ago, where he moderated panel, went to high school with many of the Mouseketeers, but also got a chance to be on Nick Arcade. So they did the face off was kind of it was more or less like a Pong style game. They called it Battle of the Bands. It was like sound going back and forth. Down most of the game, ended up winning, coming back to win. Had a nice little earring in his ear too. Style back then.
It was a style, man.
That's right. Very much, it was having a good time while he was there, and his team was down most of the game. He did not play the video challenge. His teammate did, and his teammate did not win, and so he lost his 25 points. But they came back in the second half of the game. They were very close. So there was a point wager of 0 on the other team that almost cost the other team. But they ended up in a tiebreaker. It was a rare time where they got too Mikey to the goal before the round was over. And so they had a tiebreaker, and it was a question having to do with Abraham Lincoln, and they got it wrong, and the other team got it right. So they did not win the game. They did not go into the video zone, and their consolation prize was a pair of BK Ratch techs and some chewy runts from Willy Wonka. So
I thought it was a trip to Universal Studios.
that would be quite a consolation.
Go outside, enjoy the park.
Yeah, just go outside.
It's on us. Y'all go ahead, have a good time. Ride Back to the Future. You'll be okay.
That's right.
So again, going along with who we've got on the thumbnail, we are going to. Well, I am going to mention Nick Cannon.
Oh, I Nick Cannon.
Dude, he's super successful right now. I mean, he really is.
I know.
Regardless how you feel about him, personally, I think the most successful thing about him is that he had a Dr. Squatch commercial about shaving his balls.
Nick Cannon's golden balls are single-handedly keeping the human population afloat. He's fathered 12 children that he knows of, and shows no signs of stopping.
Smooth game gets you nowhere without smooth balls to match. For that, I trust Dr. Squatch. Put your balls in our hands.
But for a while on Nickelodeon, I mean, he was on all that. Now, he wasn't a main cast member. He actually did a lot of the warm-ups for the audience to get while they were getting things set up and keeping the audience entertained and energetic, so that way when they did film, audience was ready and raring to go, and was so good at it that they started introducing him more and more into the show and started having him in sketches, but not having him in the credits and until like later, the later seasons, and they had him as part of the Spice Boys. But had him as like Sweaty Spice. Spice Boys! But, and then he did a few other things with Nickelodeon after, which, that was past my time. I don't care about that anymore. But, no, Nick Cannon has gone on to do some really, I think the first thing I really recall seeing him in was Drumline.
Yes, good movie.
And it is a good movie. And he did a good job in it. And then he's gone on to do so many more things. But yeah, he got his start in Nickelodeon, like many others.
I was gonna say too, like he also did like bit parts on Kenan and Kel as well, mostly like comic relief parts, but that was about it. I think going back and watching some Kenan and Kel episodes too is like, oh wow, that was Nick Cannon. So I had no idea. So it's kind of cool how they all like coincided. Even though, because I mean, the most recent thing that he's done is, I would assume, The Masked Singer, and Kenan got to be a guest panelist on that as well. So they showed some pictures of him and Kenan hanging out at the Kenan and Kel set. So I thought that was kind of cool. So it's neat how they go way back to those good old days.
Manny, you got anybody else?
Yes, I have one of my favorites, Angelique Bates, and she apparently was always in the spotlight ever since Out of the Womb. According to her, She has been acting since the age of 9 months. She did plays, she did theater, and around the age of 5, she sort of started understanding what she was doing, like whether it be like a comedy or something serious like a drama. And the most interesting thing is that she loves to sing, but she's always wanted to be a rapper.
I think she has her own albums going to be coming out very soon. If I remember seeing, I think she shared that on social media to be on the lookout for that soon.
But acting to her when she was growing up, due to her doing it so young, she wasn't aware of a regular childhood, like going outside and playing. To her, playing was like acting with a bunch of kids. Like that's pretty much all she knew. But she loved it. She loved it was as natural to her as breathing was. Between theater and practices, her mom would enter her in talent shows. And one of the talent shows that she was in California there was a representative, and the creator of Unsolved Mysteries was in the audience. And he didn't represent kids at the time, but his friend, who was another agent, also worked with kids. So that got her to do an audition for All That, but at the same time, she was also auditioning for a movie. So due to it being at the same time, the callbacks got switched. And so the movie was about like an inner city homeless girl. She was going to play the lead. So she wanted to audition for All That, but deeply inside, she wanted to do this movie because she had the script memorized and everything. So she was going to the All That audition, and she was dressed like Urkel. So apparently, due to the callbacks getting mixed up, she showed up at the movie audition dressed as Urkel, and she realized, like, oh no, because everybody, even the casting director and the writers, were looking at her like, what's going on? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, it finally clicked her, saying like, oh, my agent messed up my callbacks. So they all had a nice laugh, but unfortunately she was not picked for that role. So that got her to audition for All That, and she got that role.
Right. She's so sweet. I've had the chance to speak with her when I did my solo interviews, and we got a chance to meet her too, and she was so cool.
She was really fun.
I was jealous of everybody that was there. You know, even having it, be last minute changes like that. You know, like there were still so many Nick people there.
She was a total surprise. She wasn't even going to be one of the guests for SplatCon at all, and then she just showed up because she wanted to be there for the fans. That's just cool.
I just love how this is probably going to be controversial, but
It's controversial.
Yes, it might be. But I just love how vocal she is about her feelings towards Nickelodeon and what some of the unfortunate things that happened as well. But she also has that niceness too, where it's like it's diplomatic enough to like you can approach her, and she's just honest and earnest. And that's the best part about her.
She'll shoot it straight, and I appreciate that about her. I wish more people would shoot it straight. Austin, who else you got?
Well, since Kenan Kel was brought up, I'm going to go with Linda Cardellini. Known for ER, Nurse Sam Taggart, and many other things since then. Freaks and
Grandma's
Geeks,
Boy.
Of course. Yes, Grandma's Boy as well. There was an episode where she plays a new student that Kenan and Kel are getting to know, and Kel falls in love with her because they share the same love of orange soda. There's a moment in the classroom where they almost are in sync with saying the orange soda, whatever the catchphrase is, and she grabs the bottle from him and just starts chugging it, and they're completely in love with each other. But Kenan thinks she's a witch.
Yes, she smells like fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, all these weird things start happening to Kenan, and like his chair breaks in the classroom. And so he spends the whole episode trying to figure out if she's a witch, and she's not actually a witch. And the typical misunderstandings happen. But yeah, so Kel and Becky together forever with their love of orange soda. And, Linda went on to a lot of really great roles after that, and one of great actors out there. Whenever she's in something, I'll make sure to check it out, and got her start on Nickelodeon.
And she was also in the Good Burger movie.
Oh my God! Yeah, she was the
She was in the Psych Ward.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really? My mom's name is
okay.
Heather. No.
But and probably what a lot of people also are nostalgic for and remember very, very fondly is the Scooby-Doo movie.
Yep.
That's right.
And I'm going to segue into my pick with that one, because also in the Scooby-Doo movie is Matthew Lillard, who also got his start over at Nickelodeon by doing Skate TV. There's a deep cut for all you people who remembers that show. It was a very short-lived. I think it was only one season, and it's just about skating. I mean, it quite literally is. They would interview really popular skateboardists, whatever you want to call
Tony
them.
Hawk or something.
Yeah,
like
Tony
that.
Hawk was one of them. But they would talk with all of them and tricks and here's the new skateboard and here's what you need to look for in a board. But mostly it was just talking to those athletes, I guess it would be the more appropriate term. And Matthew Lillard would be out doing interviews with these people. And it's just a really trippy thing to see that taking place. I will say that my buddy Joe, I'm hoping all of you have seen Joe. If you haven't seen him, go watch some of the Are You Afraid of the Dark Goosebumps versus episodes. He got to meet Matthew Lillard at a con and was going to take a picture with him and have his autograph. And much like me, Joe knows a lot about Nickelodeon, and he did grow up watching Skate TV. He loved it. He's one of the few people that remembers and watched it. And I told him, when you go meet him, you should have him autograph a skateboard, because no one is going to ask him about Skate TV. Everyone's going to ask about all these other shows and movies that he was a part of, especially Scooby-Doo. And Joe actually wanted to get a picture with him, wanting to see if Matthew Lillard would like hop in his arms like Scooby-Doo and hold him like this. But because Joe is stout enough, he could do it. But Matthew was like, I would, but I'm not allowed to do that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Then let's just do this instead. But when he went to autograph the picture that he brought, he said, I almost brought a skateboard so you could for Skate TV. And Matthew Lillard went, did you just IMDb me and pull out the most random thing in my filmography? He said, no, I really grew up watching that show. And Matthew had such a hard time believing that. But yeah, he got his start on Nickelodeon also.
Well, to bring my list kind of full circle, I was gonna say Kirk Fogg. He had a really interesting upbringing as well. Some of these are from some interviews that he did in the past, but apparently Kirk always wanted to be an actor and or either a director. So what he did was he was working at Universal Studios as a writer, and he was picked out of this headshot catalog where it was like this book that you could pay like $50 a month to have your photo in for like people and casting people to see. And he finally got called to audition for this role on Legends of the Hidden Temple. But prior to that, he was living in France and he was working as a bartender and working construction. So he had kind of like a weird life in a way. But as soon as like he was finally called to audition for Legends, Stone Stanley, which was the production company behind it, they didn't even have like a pilot or anything set up for him. So it was kind of like a presentation, and they gave him like this little script, and all the director said was, "Can you do play by play?" And Kirk was like, "Yeah, absolutely. My brother and I used to do that all the time in the living room. Like, Simpson's got the ball at the 35-yard line. Oh, he's going to go back in. Touchdown." So they absolutely loved that presentation. But they gave him this sheet of paper where it's like, "Johnny's going through the temple. He's only got 3 minutes. Oh no, he's going to run to a temple guard." And he was like, in his mind, just thinking like, what am I talking about? Like, because no one told him anything of what was going to happen. So they got the TV show at the last minute. And Kirk, not hosting a game show before, was like, okay, I guess this is something that we're going to be doing. So there was a live audience, a huge set, and he didn't know what he was doing because all they had was read through the teleprompter. And sometimes the teleprompter wasn't ready until they were about to shoot. So all he had was a script. It was like a 1-page script for the episode. And they didn't tell him what the temple games were. They didn't tell him, like, this is going to be set up like this. Due to the fact of it being like a wacky, weird production, the director was hardly ever on set. And pretty much he had to fly by the seat of his pants, which is why he calls Legends of the Hidden Temple Season 1 a living hell. Because he was sort of like left alone and he didn't know what he was doing. So finally, once season 2 hit, he was one of the ones that got to stay, luckily. And they finally switched it back and forth with Olmec and Kirk, sort of like switching roles, because literally they had Kirk do everything in season 1. And he was still very, very thankful for that, but he didn't know what type of impact the show made because he didn't hang around with kids and he wasn't watching kids shows at the time. So it didn't happen up until 10 years later when he finally got to direct his own movie, which was in 2006. It was called Distortion, which is a horror thriller that he did himself. The movie was okay. It was all right. But hey, he loved doing it, and it's what he lives for. So, as of right now, Kirk did the Legends of the Hidden Temple movie in 2016. That was such an amazing experience for him, for not just working on like a Legends project again, but he got to meet fans. This was the first time he's ever got to do that. He went through the country visiting different conventions. He even went to a 90s con with Phil Moore, and they both co-hosted a panel, and it was totally exciting for him, and he had no idea that this show was as big as it was. And it gave him a new sense of pride, and he's really like, I finally feel like I have kind of a legacy, and I love Legends of the Hidden Temple, and I love all the fans that watched it. So it kind of ends on a very sweet note. Currently, Kirk is a house flipper in LA. So if you're ever driving around the LA area and see houses that are being built, who knows, it could be Kirk's house that he's building. So there you go.
All right. Austin, what is your next that you want to talk about?
We will go. Well, I'll get the last game show one I've got out of the way here. So there was a Figure It Out episode back when that show was on, where a very tiny accordion player and singer was the contestant, and Hunter Hayes did not stump the panel that day. They figured out that he was an accordion player and singer. He he performed some song named Jambalaya and all that panel figured out what his hidden talent was. I think it was Kevin Coppola, Josh Server, Lori Beth, and Danny, I think. Figured it out. Very, a very cute, very young kid, and Hunter Hayes gone on to pretty successful singing career after that. But he was a contestant on Figure It Out.
Well, I've got two others for Figure It Out. One of them is Sam Roberts. A lot of you are probably going, who?
You don't know Sam Roberts?
Sam Roberts was he's on the Jim Norton and Sam Roberts radio program on Sirius XM, and he was one of the contestants on Figure It Out. He was the one that we actually just watched it on one of our recent Slime streams, where he would flip coins off of his ankle.
Oh wow!
But the more interesting thing about it, and it's a bit heartbreaking now, but he interviewed Michelle Trachtenberg on his show. You can actually find a clip of it on YouTube. But he was interviewing her, and then during the episode, he was just, hey, what about your time on Figure It Out? She was like, oh, yes, I loved that. That was so much fun. I had a blast. And he said, do you remember this contestant? She had no idea that she was being interviewed by the contestant that was on the episode she was on. And she was, are you kidding me? That was really cool.
Is that you?
That's me.
Shut your face.
That's me. That's Sam Roberts.
What?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
What the hell? That's crazy. Oh my God, my voice just cracked. You flick quarters off your ankle.
Yes.
Do you still flick quarters off your ankle?
Not as well as I used to be able to.
Did you hear the New York come out? Quarters?
Quarters.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is great. What was her name? Summer Sanders. Summer Sanders.
Yes.
But also the other one, one of the winners of the Secret Slime action. Austin is nodding his head. He probably knows where I'm going with this. Marcus Stroman, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. He was with the Toronto Blue Jays. He was just in the audience, just a kid at the time, and won a t-shirt or a bag or something. I forgot what the prize was, but he won the Secret Slime action. So a future athlete in the audience for Figure It Out, which is pretty cool.
That is really neat. Wow.
Manny, do you have any others?
I'm going to go with the Figure It Out segue here. Just because, and this was surprising for me when I was a kid because I had no freaking idea. I watched Figure It Out all the time growing up, but I had no idea that Summer Sanders was an Olympic swimmer. I was like,
I don't think any of us kids did.
I didn't know this. And I was like, oh my God, wow. Like, that's how she started, was like doing the Olympics and then going to host a game show with kids' hidden talents. It's crazy. I had no idea. What did you think? Like, Austin and Alex, what do you think? Like, is that something that surprised you, or did you have any prior knowledge to this at all?
I found out eventually, I think. She also co-hosted NBA Inside Stuff for several years, so that she was doing that kind of about the same time Figure It Out was going on. So I had, saw her in multiple places, and then found out she was an Olympian. And
I didn't keep up. I still don't keep up with sports ever. So when the Olympics were on, I was like, oh yay, more sports. I don't care. I'm going to watch something else.
That's exactly how you said it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I said it.
Something else.
So Summer Sanders, to me, was just the host of Figure It Out. And it wasn't until I was an adult and I was looking into a lot of these people's history that I realized, oh my gosh, how did I not know that? Oh, I know how I didn't know this, because I didn't care, because I was a dumb kid. But obviously she didn't get her start from Nickelodeon, but to all of us, she started for us at Nickelodeon. It was, and then by proxy. Oh,
yeah. Oh, Figure
You're
It
a
Out.
Nippian. That's cool. But anyway, we've got a lot more. I have a lot more. And I know Austin's got some
have
too.
a few more.
Manny is like, I've got to think of some more now.
No, I'm not. I know some right here.
So I'm going to
I may not have a lot in this head, but I got something.
So I'm going to give him a little time to do a bit more research during a commercial break here. So we're going to see what else we've got going on in the world of Splat Attack. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you're watching Splat Attack Podcast. We'll be back with more stars.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Splat Attack. If you're enjoying this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, make sure to hit that notification bell. If you are listening on a podcast app, please leave us a review. These small actions from you have a big impact on us.
It's good to hang out with friends and talk old school nostalgia, which is exactly more of what we do over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/splatattack to gain access to bonus mini episodes every Friday, slime streams, which are live watch parties, twice a month, opportunities to submit questions to our celebrity guests, and more. Join the Gakoids over on patreon.com/splatattack.
You go look for that nostalgic shirt that you wore as a kid, but, no, it doesn't fit you anymore. No need to fear. Go to bonfire.com/store/Splat Store with hyphens in between. We have shirts with our logo as well as other 90s Nickelodeon inspired shirts. We have different styles of shirts as well as different colors to choose from. So that way you won't feel, oh my gosh, I've gotten bigger. No, the shirts have just gotten smaller. It's fine. Get your customized shirt on demand at bonfire.com/store/Splat Store with hyphens in between.
Tune in next time, Slimesters, when we go into some spring cleaning with the gang of O-Town as we dive into Zanzibar. You can find all the retrorific action only here on Splat Attack.
All right, send the star away. Welcome back.
Welcome back, all of you Slimesters. Manny, you got your notes ready?
Yes, I do. Have them in my head.
Well, good. We'll give you a little more time though, because we'll start with Austin. Who else you got for us, Austin?
Several names, but since you brought up Michelle Trachtenberg before the commercial break, I will go with that. Not only for The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which is one of my favorite shows. Played Nona Mecklenburg, Little Pete's best friend. Iggy Pop played her dad. There are so many places you can go with Pete and Pete, but it's just such a good show. But then I also found out that right before that, she did a guest spot on Clarissa Explains It All. So she played the bratty neighbor child, Elsie Soperstein, that Clarissa was forced to babysit, and just couldn't control her, couldn't get her to do anything. Just she was just very mean to Clarissa, and then all of a sudden, Ferguson comes home, and Elsie Soperstein is just mesmerized by Ferguson. She's in love with Fergie, and Clarissa uses that to
Fergie.
That's right. So got her start there, and then went on to Pete and Pete and Harriet the Spy and all the things after that, and just a great character on a great show like Pete and Pete. Dance. I remember the Dance Fever episode. There was the episode where Little Pete and his friends try to give his lucky penny luck again because it didn't run out of luck, and just a lot of fun moments from that show that she got to be a part of.
I've got a few from Clarissa Explains It All that I want to mention as well, but I'll do that later. I want to finish the thumbnails. I got two other people from the thumbnail I want to mention. One of them is Will Friedle.
That I had that on my list. Very nice.
I forever pronounced it Will Friedle for years.
That's what I thought it was.
And until I heard interviews with him and people say his name, Will Friedle, I'm like, that's okay. I've been wrong this entire time. But yes, we know him from Boy Meets World.
Fine. Ow! Hey, what?
But has gone on to do quite a bit of voice acting. I think even including Lion-O from the remake of Thundercats, which actually wasn't terrible.
No, it was really good, honestly.
Are You Afraid of the Dark fans know him from the the long ago Locket episode, which is a great episode. It's a bit different from most Are You Afraid of the Dark fare. They do a bit of time travel. I mean, the show itself has done time travel a few times, but this time he would actually find a locket out in the woods and would end up back in like the old colonial times and the war that was taking place then, and was trying to reunite this locket to the person who had lost it. And it's a very sweet episode overall. But his history with Nickelodeon goes even farther than that. Because he was also on Don't Just Sit There, which is like Nickelodeon's version of a talk show, like an 80s talk show. They had their own house band. They had a couple of hosts. They had celebrity interviews, like they had Weird Al at one point. They had Rick Moranis at one point. They've had a lot of really big name stars for that time period. But Will Friedle would be one of the kids that would sit down and got to interview. I think he was the youngest one on the show. And he would get to interview a lot of these people. I think you could even find a clip on YouTube of him interviewing Weird Al.
Yeah,
and
so
just watch him giggling the whole time.
They were a big part of the Nick Studios opening day special that you can find on YouTube. So he and his fellow co-hosts did a lot of they were, went around all the Universal rides, and there was at one point where Will and Linda Blair were doing something on that, and so they were a big part of launching Nick Studios.
Which is really historic in its own right,
And at that time, Nickelodeon had a lot of shows where they were really trying to integrate audience participation, and kids can come here to do all these cool things and be in a show in some form. Don't Just Sit There being one of them. Out of Here was another one. And there's another one that we'll mention later, but we'll get to that in a bit. Manny, do you have another one?
Yes, I'm going to choose a person who every time I look at this person, I think all that, because it's Lori Beth Denberg. And she's, apparently, I did not know this, she is an ordained minister. I did not know this. Besides doing roles on all that, she's had quite a career. She's been in a few movies, like 18 Fingers of Death, Ham and Rye, Good Burger 2, obviously. And but besides that, she was also on the Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. I had no idea.
Yeah, she's on one episode of that, the Alien episode, the UFO episode.
Wow. I really got to catch up on that too. Like I'm starting to watch all these different shows. That's one of the best parts of being on the podcast. I get to check out these really unique shows that I never watched as a kid, So it's really cool. Workaholics, of course, cuz a buddy of mine loved Workaholics, so I watched that as well with them.
She was on the Steve Harvey show as well.
Yeah, I see that.
And she was in Dodgeball as well with Christine Taylor.
Yeah, and when I go back to Dodgeball, I was like, I swear, she looks so familiar, and then I didn't connect the dots on that until I later in life I saw the credits. I'm like, oh, that's why, because that's Lori Beth. So I had no idea. Still very, very funny. Justin Long, you're funny. So that's what I have to say. Lori Beth is just really great. She also has serious side to her story as well, but we at Splat Attack give her props and congratulations on quitting drinking as well. So Lori Beth, if you're watching this, congratulations. We are all very proud of you.
Austin, who else you got?
I'm gonna go with Meagan Good, cast member of Cousin Skeeter. Played Nina, the friend and crush of Robert Richard's character Bobby.
Yeah, she was my crush too, man. I love Meagan Good.
So yeah, they were the classic will they or won't they throughout that whole series, and then finally towards the end, there's an episode where they finally kiss and become a couple, and she's gone on to do so many movies and shows, and a very respected actress, but she got her start with working with a puppet. And I know when they were doing those Nick Rewind interviews a few years ago, they did one with her, and they showed her the Skeeter puppet, and she kind of got emotional about it because she remembered that time fondly. So definitely an unsung hero of a Nickelodeon show.
My last one for the thumbnail that I can go to the other ones I've been wanting to talk about. I mean, seriously, you ought to know.
Alanis Morissette.
That was on my list too.
I didn't know she was on Nick.
Nicely done.
She was one of the child actors for You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh.
I don't think she was on it for terribly long. Because even then, some of the other actors had commented on how serious that she was into music, even as a kid. And I believe that she ventured away from performing on You Can't Do That on Television to going into a music career, if I remember right. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add. It's not like the kids on You Can't Do That on Television didn't have, notable characters. It was the kid. The kids were the characters just playing themselves in these different weird situations. It was really the adults. It was really Les Lie and Abby Haggard. So the two of them really had different characters, but the kids were just playing kids. Alanis included in that. But yeah, Alanis Morissette, she one of her first things was You Can't Do That on Television.
I'm gonna choose sort of the starlet of Nickelodeon, at least one of the earliest. Melissa Joan Hart. She was all over the place on Nickelodeon. I mean, not just on Clarissa, but I mean, she was like sort of the face of the network at the time, like doing commercials and doing like big helpathons and promos and many other things as well. She really shows her acting chops, especially giving Clarissa like the character that we all know and love, apparently, and she made it her own, and that's sort of it sort of gave a role model to probably a lot of girls out there that say like, I don't have to wear a dress and I could just be myself and just like whatever, just life is just a party and just have fun and be a kid. And since then, she's done Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which is a really great show as well, if anyone's ever seen it. It's really funny. Sort of loses its way towards the end, but it's okay though.
Most shows do.
Yeah. And she still keeps busy. Like, I think the very last thing I saw was a Lifetime movie that she was in, which Alex actually told me about. I watched it and I'm like, wow, that was funny.
She was playing the grandmother.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really old.
Clarissa was a grandma in a Hallmark movie. Boy, don't you feel ancient now.
My bones are so brittle right now. How am I shaking them like this?
My teeth fell out.
Oh, who's calling me? Oh, AARP.
But that's pretty much all I gotta say. But man, Melissa Joan Hart, she's gonna be remembered forever. She does her acting chops and she does a really great job at it. So
she's one who has remained relevant in pop culture her entire life, just about. I mean, Clarissa being one, Sabrina, and then she did Melissa and Joey, and then and still did movies. Not a lot of movies, but there was a few. I mean, we talked about it a bit, I believe. I think we mentioned her in the Limelight. I'm fairly certain we did.
I think we did. Yeah, we did. Season 6, we did.
Mm-hmm. But even and now she's directing. She's directing sitcoms, so she's stayed in that
limelight. Yeah.
Austin, who else you got?
Well, I'll tangent off of Melissa Joan Hart because one of her co-stars on Sabrina the Teenage Witch was another Nickelodeon alum, David Lasher, aka Ted from Hey Dude. So not only did he play Sabrina's love interest for a couple of years, but he also played Blossom's love interest for a couple of years.
Whoa!
So after Hey Dude was over, he went on to Blossom and played. I believe his name was Vinny Blossom's off again love interest, and then went on to Sabrina the Teenage Witch to play Josh, is one of Sabrina's love interests. But Ted McGriff, the ultimate Zach Morris of Nickelodeon almost. But good-hearted, and always meant well, even if he kind of annoyed his friends and coworkers. And the kiss heard around the world between Ted and Brad, still one of the seminal moments of that show. So yeah.
I found it surprising that he was on Full House as well, and I was like, "Oh, that's Ted!
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy!"
I forgot about that too.
I didn't know his name when I met him, so I just said, "Hey, Ted!" So I felt bad afterwards, but still, he was nice about it.
He was cool.
He didn't hit me too hard, so those bruises are healing.
Going along with that was actually going to be my next tie-in with Alanis Morissette and Full House. Dave Coulier, he cut it out that he's famous for as playing Joey on Full House. He started that and came up with that on Out of Control, which was very much a ridiculous sketch comedy show, sometimes on location at different places around Florida. I think it was New York. Yeah, that show was trying to be, that big, edgy, ridiculous, like extreme SNL sketches where you got the shark outside the door and would like grab the people and pull them in. Just be the out of control aspect, but it really never was very much out of control. Just big personalities being goofy, surrounding Dave Coulier, who was kind of the more calm one, if you could imagine that. But it was a cute show, and I enjoyed watching it on reruns, because that show ran for a long time. I think there was only one season, but they played that one season a lot in the early days of Nickelodeon. But Dave Coulier. Who else you got, Manny?
I have Ryan Reynolds, Mr. Ryan Reynolds, who was on a really great teen drama called 15. I got into this show back in 2022, and man, I gotta say, it gets you hooked. But I did not expect Ryan Reynolds, of all people, to be on this show. I flipped out when I saw him like playing the drums in the intro. It was crazy. Amazing.
And it wasn't even his name. It was not his name in the.
I know they used the character names.
They used the character names as the credits, but it's very clearly Ryan Reynolds.
But yeah, it's a really great show. If anybody wants to watch it, watch the first 3 seasons. You don't need to see season 4. It's not very good. But yeah, you're in for a treat if you ever check this show out. It's great. But Ryan Reynolds has, I don't even have to say, has made an incredible career for himself. I honestly was not aware of 15 when I was a kid. I wasn't even aware he was even a child actor. But the first thing I ever seen him in was Van Wilder. So that was the very first thing that I seen him in. And then after that, I was like, oh, hey, it's Ryan Reynolds. It's Ryan Reynolds. Green Lantern. Then that awful X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. But then later, he gained like a whole new legion of fans, a new generation of fans because of Deadpool and a lot of other family movies that he's done himself. So I credit Ryan Reynolds for a lot. And thank you so much for being such an upbeat, awesome, and hilarious person. That's what I gotta say about Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, the character of Billy started off really being a relatively sweet, naive character, and then just turned into a jerk in the show. But I think one of the funniest things concerning that, because it's known as 15 here in the States, but over in Canada it was called Hillside.
Yeah, it's just the name of the school.
And there's a few times when he doesn't talk about it very much, but when he does, he talks mostly about the few people that watched it, which is not entirely true. I mean, it's a joke, but back in the time, 15 was doing very, very well, which is crazy to think about by today's standards. But it's like Nickelodeon's version of Degrassi before Nickelodeon was doing Degrassi, because that was not here in the States at the time, so they were doing their own thing, and it was very successful. It was pulling in high school and college age viewers on Nickelodeon, which is crazy to think about in the late 80s and early 90s. But they were huge. The ratings were huge for it. But Ryan Reynolds would frequently comment about it. One in particular, that they had playground insults, which is a segment that you can find on YouTube, and it was between him and the James Brolin or Josh Brolin, and they were just throwing ridiculous insults back and forth with one another. And Josh asks, "What was your first acting gig?"
Hillside, it was called. It was a teen soap opera
Oh
that
my God,
was
how old
watched
were-
by dozens.
How old were you when you started?
I was 13 years old.
But yes, I want to cover 15 at some point on the show again. Our second episode was talking about 15 and Welcome Freshmen. I want to go back into Hillside because it's a ridiculous show, and I can't wait to talk about it again.
Oh, I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Austin.
I'm gonna take a twofer here, from a show that I did not watch. Just a little too scary for me. But on Are You Afraid of the Dark, there were two co-hosts, Alicia Cuthbert and Vanessa Lenges, were both two of the kid cast of the second run of Are You Afraid of the Dark. I knew them because they both went on to co-host Popular Mechanics for Kids, which was on Saturday mornings when I was a kid. So I watched them there. And then Alicia Cuthbert, went on to do a ton of movies. Vanessa Lenges ended up on Glee and other things as well. But I, just wanted to hit on both of them, just because they're people probably forgot that they got their start there. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a list of people that were on Are You Afraid of the Dark. Do you have more people from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
The only one I was so I've got so Emily Hampshire. I don't know if that was one you had, but she and she's from Schitt's Creek, and then Dominic Zampronia, who's on General Hospital. They were a couple in one of the episodes. I forget which one it was, but that's the extent of my Are You Afraid of the Dark?
All right, so I'm not going to go into big detail with all these because there are more who got their start, or they had been in things, but they weren't stars yet at the time. So that being said, we have Ryan Gosling, Hayden Christensen, Aaron Ashmore, Jay Baruchel, and Emily Van Camp. So there's 5 more actors who have gone on to do some really big things, but were all in at least one episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Jay Baruchel also co-hosted Popular Mechanics for Kids with Alicia Cuthbert.
And that's all I have to say about that. Do you have another one for us, Manny?
Just a quick one. Jason Zimbler, of course, who's Ferguson on Clarissa. Apparently he did some acting and theater work as well, but he sort of retired from acting, and he now works at HBO as a software engineer, which is very interesting. But I actually thought he had really great chops, but maybe it's not for everybody, so it's very, very interesting.
All right, you got any others for us?
Well, yes. I will briefly mention the fact that Jessica Alba was Alex Mack's bully in the first season of Alex Mack. I will also briefly mention that Greg Lee, who hosted Carmen Sandiego, hosted Total Panic. But the ones I've got left are all Pete and Pete related. So I will mention J.K. Simmons, who in the episode where he plays Dan the Silent Barber, Big Pete's barber. Big Pete's been trying to get him to talk for forever and can't do it. And so he has Little Pete do a little research into it and finds that Dan the Barber loves to talk about footwear. And so he brings footwear up and gets Dan just talking for nonstop, and he ends up giving Big Pete a really just terrible haircut and realizes that that is why he does not talk anymore. But I'll mention that. I will also mention Selma Blair, who played Big Pete's, just a one-off love interest of him in the episode where Big Pete decides he wants to be a bus driver with bus driver Stu, and kind of shirks his responsibilities so that he can, go out with this attractive girl. And then I will also mention, I don't know how to say her name for sure, but Liza Weil, aka Paris Geller from the Gilmore Girls, played another Big Pete love interest in the 35 Hours episode, which is the episode where
she does this thing with her ear,
That's
She's
right.
So attractive,
And so Big Pete leaves Little Pete to fend for himself because parents are out of town for the weekend, and he goes off with this attractive girl, and Little Pete sells the house, and they had to figure out what to do with that.
I love that episode so much. Endless Mike is what sells that episode for me in that one. Oh gosh, it's so good.
I mean, what? You didn't know that?
Manny, do you have any others before we wrap her up?
I'll wrap up my list with one of my favorite Nickelodeon celebs of all time, Marc Weiner of Weinerville. He sort of began his career sort of like working in the 70s and 80s in the comedy clubs. And at the same time, he took a clown college course while working on a ship known as the Clearwater Sloop, which is currently in the Hudson River. And Marc Weiner is very passionate about that, being like that's one of his first jobs. And he feels like that job gave him a lot of purpose in life as well. But after that, he started doing more stand-up gigs. Learning how to be an Orthodox Jew means that he did not work Friday nights anymore. So he worked during the week, not on Fridays, doing stand-up acts, later being discovered by then the Comedy Central channel was then called Ha, and he got a part in a show called Random Acts of Variety, where he got to learn how to do his head puppet characters. And then later, that turned into making it for a pilot, which was then made in 1991 when Ha and the Comedy Channel merged to make Comedy Central. So they made a pilot called That's Not Fair. And it tested well for kids, so it got sent to Nickelodeon and ran for 2 years, made 3 specials, and Mark took the show live in 1996 to 1999. And after that, currently resides in Stamford, Connecticut, where he voices Swiper, the fox, and he gives advice to finding your inner peace by using the empathy labyrinth, which is something that he made to counteract your feelings and understand them to find inner peace. And that's what Mark does now.
And Mark is awesome. We've had him on the show many times. He's a great guy. Love having him. Well, to wrap up the rest of the celebrities that we could think of who were on Nickelodeon before they got super, super popular. Since we had Aaron Ashmore, we also have Sean Ashmore, who was the Jake on Animorphs, which we have yet to talk about on the show, and I'm a bit nervous to try to enter that territory. I'm gonna have to sooner or later. It's gonna be fun. I guarantee you.
I'm not a fan.
No, the show is. We'll talk about that some other time. But going along with 15, we have the purple dress. Laura Harris, who played Ashley, she's more well known for playing one of the characters on The Faculty. Robin Ross, who was Brooke on 15, she's gone on to do a lot of things. Riverdale is probably the more recent thing that most people would think of. And Adam Bush, who played Noah on Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, that was like one of the first things that he's done. He's done a lot of things throughout the remainder of his life, but probably the thing that most people would recognize him for is from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If anything, how his character was killed. Oh goodness. But the last couple that I want to mention are from Clarissa Explains It All, and they were just one was a one-time character, but James Vanderbeek had a one-time appearance on the show. And then to cap it all off, we have a pizza delivery man on Clarissa Explains It All. Austin is nodding his head.
I read that Wikipedia article.
And well, I watched the show. I watched the entire thing. I was like, what is Wayne Brady doing here? Are you kidding me?
Guy's got to eat, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
It's his first job, probably.
And the fun thing is, Rick Galloway, who played Walter on Welcome Freshman, he and Wayne went to the same school, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of the cast went to the same school, and that school was very close to Nick Studios, so that's how they were able to handle the transportation back and forth, and not only that, but that's how they were able to get Wayne Brady on Clarissa Explains It All, because a lot of the same cast from their shows went to that school, and Wayne was at that school. And Rick Galloway says that Wayne and Josh Server are all good friends, and he honestly believes Wayne Brady to be one of the funniest people alive and deserves more attention and more love. So that's pretty cool.
Not wrong.
So with that being said, that is our very extensive list of celebrities that had gotten their start in Nickelodeon in some capacity. And there's been a lot of people, man. There's at least, just looking at the list, because I was taking notes as we went through, at least 30 people, I think, that we mentioned. But gosh, there's so many. But before we end our episode, we do have a quick segment for you, which it's been a while since we've checked our letters. We've not heard from Mona for a while, so I think we might have something from Mona's mailbag. Mona, what do you got for us?
These are for you.
Alrighty, Manny, we've got a letter from Mona.
We do.
We do. This has been a little delayed, but we know how the Postal Service works. It's not Mona's fault. It's the Postal Service. So I'm not gonna blame Mona for that. But this we received back in December, but this is actually in regards to the top 5 syndicated shows that Jordy and I did with Sean from the Real Life Perspective Show, but it felt right that we open this letter that we just received on this episode, which is all about picking things as opposed to just, hey, here's an episode that we're talking about. This comes from longtime supporter Travis Kemp. Travis says, "Hi, gang. I thought I'd let you know I enjoyed your latest episode about your favorite syndicated shows that aired on Nickelodeon. You had some good choices. Some of them I hadn't even thought about. Speaking of which, what are some of my favorite syndicated Nickelodeon shows? Number 1, The Muppet Show. Great show. Number 2, Looney Tunes on Nickelodeon. Also a great show. Number 3, Bullwinkle's Moose-a-Rama.
Oh my God.
Also
yeah, such a great show.
Also known as Rocky and Bullwinkle, of course. Number 4, Inspector Gadget. Number 5, The Alvin Show. Some of my honorable mentions are The Underdog Show, Today's Special, and Nickelodeon's Most Wanted Yogi Bear. Thanks for your time. Happy New Year, now that it's March. Now that it's April. Of course, let's take the gag back, Travis K. Thank you so much, Travis, as always, for sending us your feedback. We love hearing from you people. We love hearing from you people.
Stay jazzy, Travis. Just stay jazzy. Speaking of Inspector Gadget, here's an old photo of me awaiting my disappointment. Look how happy he was before he watched the movie. Oh, you had so many dreams then. And then Broderick had to mess it all up.
Go, Gadget Broderick. All right, well, that is going to be it for our episode on child stars before they were stars. A big thank you again to Austin for suggesting this to us. It was a lot of fun. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. And, anytime I get to talk, wax poetically about Nickelodeon from growing up, I am happy to do it.
All right, well, before we officially end the episode, we do have a closing question for all of you Slimesters. And our closing question is, as Manny starts to giggle, you all need to watch.
It's a very easy question, you know?
You all need to.
It's nicely worded. Seriously, everybody, what's the question? Comment below.
The question is, why are you guys not on Patreon? Because this entire conversation is going on Patreon. You got to be there for it. But the official question for all of you is, what child jobs or chores did you have as a kid to earn money? You can write to us via email at splatattack2021@gmail.com. You can DM us on all of our socials. Just look for Splat Attack Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. It's the little red button down there. Click it. Your finger ain't broke. At least I hope it ain't. If it is, use your other finger. Interact with us wherever you can. We're always happy to hear from you guys.
Until then, Alex, will you close the studio for us, please? I've got many cardboard boxes and props to, recycle and conserve.
Aye, co-captain. As long as I can do the can on the cars. By the way, it's such a beautiful day. I installed a sunroof in your interview pod, Manny.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh no! I mean, is the ozone layer still good? Because those carbon concretes are attacking and the sun is so hot! Ah!
Well, that'll teach you from sending me that evil sponge doll. Don't worry, folks. He's fine. I'll just reanimate him in my own image. Splat you later.
This episode was recorded at Splat Attack Studios, in virtual home studios, though none in Florida.